Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh, and as you know, I am continuing this Money Talk series where I interview a lot of really cool people around the world and we talk about personal finance. And today I have the one and only Siu-yee all the way from New Jersey. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I pronounced it right.
You did.
Okay, good.
So my name is Chinese, but you were pronouncing it really well because actually I'm a Spanish speaker. I was born in Ecuador. And the way that I like to say my name is Siu-yee, like a Spanish accent kind of, but it is a Chinese name. So you said it really well.
Okay, good. Does it mean something?
I like the way I say it in Spanish. It's like pequeña criatura,
Mhm.
but when I say it in English, it's like small creature. It's kind of weird, but like technically supposed to mean like little baby. Like that was my mom's thought process.
Okay. So is your mom the one who's Chinese?
She's not, which is actually really funny. She found my name on like a painting. It was signed by an artist named Siu-yee, and then she showed the name to my dad, who is Chinese, and he kind of was like, "Yep, that's perfect."
Wow, that's awesome. So do you speak Spanish then?
I speak Spanish. Unfortunately, I don't speak Chinese or like Cantonese specifically,
Yeah,
but I wish I did.
that's good. So how old were you when you moved to Jersey?
I moved to New Jersey when I was 6 from Ecuador. And yeah, I've pretty much been living here ever since. I've been to Ecuador a few times, like on vacation and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty much US now. And
Mhm.
yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that part of you, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually mentioned that on my channel before. So you guys are learning more things.
You should. Maybe we can do like something Spanish related later on.
Yeah, I actually have a subscriber who keeps asking me to speak in Spanish, but I haven't found the right topic yet.
I have a subscriber. I don't know if he even subscribes, but so how we say Puerto Rico, it sounds different than Puerto Rico, right? But I'm so used to saying Puerto Rico because it's an English speaking channel, right? And then I
Yeah.
have people commenting, you should say it in Spanish and all of that. I'm like, really, guys, does that really matter how I'm pronouncing this right now?
I feel like it's weird when you're like speaking in English and then you have to like kind of like emphasize the accent when you're saying a word in Spanish. Like you just get in a zone.
Yeah, completely. So tell me about yourself.
Well, okay, so since I lived in New Jersey, I grew up there, went to high school there, and then I went to college in Pennsylvania. And then I graduated from there with a bachelor's in chemical engineering. Um, and then I got a job, in Pennsylvania at a small company, which is nice, like right after I graduated. But, a few months after graduating, I was like, wow, I am 6 figures in debt. So I realized that I had to get my life together, financially. Um, and it was kind of something that I really had to focus on because I was living on my own for the first time. Um, and had to figure out how to manage all my finances. Although I was making a good enough salary that it wasn't like a huge deal. Like I was still like, oh my God, 6 figures of debt is insane. And I don't want to, keep living like this. So um, about a few months afterwards, I started getting really interested in paying off debt. I found Dave Ramsey, like all the big finance YouTubers like Graham Stephan. And I loved what they had to say, and I applied a lot of those principles to what I'm doing right now. And last year, around June, I started my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Siu-yee, where I talk about frugality and finance content. And at first, it was more of a hobby. Now I'm trying to kind of make it more of an investment of my time as a business, and therefore I can maybe reach more people and inspire other people who are in similar situations to pay off debt, and go for financial independence, which is my ultimate goal.
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. So going back, I really want to talk about like your money mindset while you were growing up. A lot of people have a lot of student loan debt and they don't want to do anything about it. So I feel like something clicked, but something happened in your childhood or how you were raised that made you actually want to pursue this.
That's a great question. So I guess when I was in Ecuador, like my parents, like my family and I, like we weren't like rich or anything. We had a, modest house that my parents, made the down payment for and that they actually built themselves. Like they had, my dad was like putting cement on it and stuff like that. Like that was just like the impression I had of like the house that I was, kind of brought up in while I lived in Ecuador. So my parents definitely worked hard, but they weren't like, making bank and stuff like that. My mom's a teacher, my dad's a machinist, very, comfortable jobs, but I knew that I wasn't rich. And while I was there, I actually went to El Colegio Alemán Humboldt, which is a German school in Ecuador. And, you know, everyone who goes to that school is, in a very high social class, economic class, because that is where, the politicians' kids go, everyone of high status in, Ecuador society pretty much goes to like that kind of private school. And I got to go there for free because my mom was a teacher there. And she actually went to that school too, but I was always kind of surrounded by people who had, I guess, a higher monetary status, which didn't really bother me too much. I just knew that it was there. And I always like when I was little, I always dreamed of like living in a huge house and like having a pool and stuff like that. So that definitely probably impacted the way that I viewed money as something that I could use to attain those things. And that's just kind of like what I thought I wanted for my future. Obviously now, like as I grew up, I understood that it was good to get a college education because then I could get a good return on my investment and start making more money so that maybe I could get that dream house with a pool that I wanted. Um, but once I did graduated with student debt and then started budgeting, I feel like my opinion of that has changed. Money's never gonna, buy you happiness. And I have like expendable income now, but I choose to throw it at my debt so that I can be debt free and financially stable. To me, um, now money is just a tool to get something that'll make me feel more secure. And I think that's really important. It's like we shouldn't really attach a huge emotional value to money because it's just something to get something else that you might want that might actually bring you happiness.
Yeah. And then that kind of brings me to my second question, because you talk a lot about being frugal. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there's this mentality of frugality that says, I can't afford this, it's gonna make me sad, versus having more of a mindset of like, this might be temporary, or this is, or like maybe material things are not gonna be what brings me happiness. How do you balance between being frugal and then finding the joy with money?
Yeah, it's really hard. I think right now I'm in such a strict position with myself where I try not to spend any money. Like I don't want to go out to eat and spend money because it's just like I'm borrowing on my student loans to, spend that money basically, if you think about it. Um, However, before I became this frugal, I loved going out shopping, getting nice clothes, getting nice shoes. Like my weekends were like going to like Burlington, Marshalls, the mall, like anywhere. Like I just loved like the feeling of shopping and getting that immediate gratification of purchasing an item that I thought that I really wanted and that would bring me so much joy. Um, but after, budgeting and just kind of being real with myself, like, you can't be doing this every weekend. You maybe shouldn't be doing this at all. It made me actually focus on other stuff that I like doing. Like I liked cooking for myself rather than going out. So I learned a lot about myself in that sense. But in the sense of purchasing things and deciding whether or not, they add value to my life, that's something I'm still learning to balance. Um, Although I try to be frugal, there are times where I'm like, oh, I really want this shirt or like I really want these pants. And sometimes I give into it and I give into the, materialistic consumption because we are in a materialistic society. And it's going to be really hard to, I guess, move away from that, completely. But at least now I kind of put a little bit more thought into my purchases. And I try not to buy anything that is only going to last for a little while. Like I'd rather buy something that's a higher quality than buy a bunch of stuff in quantity. And I think that's the approach that I'm taking at the moment. Yeah, it might change. I don't know.
Do you do the whole, what is it? This lady from Netflix that she does this spark joy.
I love Marie Kondo. Yeah, I've started doing that a lot. Actually, I've been working on a video for like since the start of February that's probably going to go out sometime in mid-March. I'm trying to do the 30-day minimalism game challenge where you like get rid of one thing on like the first day of the calendar day, and then the next day you get rid of two things, and then so on and so on. So like I guess today's day 20. So I've gotten rid of like a lot of items so far. It's really hard, but I tell them thank you and I'm like, okay, goodbye.
You know, that's when you kind of realize how much stuff you actually have.
I have so much stuff.
So did you have like an aha moment, my life has to change?
Yeah. I was so embarrassed to even talk about my student loans. And that really did happen like a few months after graduation from college. Like even while I was in school, like I would just avoid the topic whatsoever, like completely. And I guess a few months after I graduated, I was making money, but I didn't know how to manage it. And for me, it was really important to learn how to do that because I always told myself like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like learn how to budget like sometime. But then I, sat down with myself and looked at all my debt. And I knew that I had a lot of private student loans because that was part of the same bank that I did my checking with. So I would see that number all the time. And it started out at $76,000. By the time I graduated, I added like $20,000 worth of interest because it was at a 10% interest rate. That's so ridiculous to me. So, because I got like a fixed loan because my mom was like, you should get a fixed loan because it might change a lot if something happens. So I was scared of that. So fixed rate, 10%, that was scary. And then I was like, okay, I have this number. I know what it is. Let me check my federal loans. I go on my portal and I was thinking like, oh, I borrowed like maybe like $3,000 a year. So it should be maybe like $12,000 total. Nope. It was like $27,000 in that account. I ended up borrowing like more than 3,000 a year. And the interest rate on that wasn't too bad. It was like maybe 4% was like the average. But I was like, wow, I have so much more than I thought. And that's what really scared me because by the time the grace period was over for the 6 months, I was like, I hope I'm going to be able to make these minimum payments because it's a lot, it's a huge balance. And that's really what made me kind of, buckle down and start giving a closer look at my finances because it was a big deal.
No, that's crazy. 10%. I didn't know that went up that high.
It didn't go up. Like I signed it with 10%, and I think two of them were around 10%. There was 4 loans total for each year, and then the other two were like 7% or something like that. And I signed them as fixed interest rates because I was scared that they like if I did a variable one, it would go up even higher. But yeah, 10% is just way too high. Um, and I paid the price for it. I had $20,000 more dollars in student loans.
But at the same time, I go back to what I said. It takes a different type of person because I'm pretty sure most of the people that you went to college with, they don't even care about student loans.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know a lot of people who have, a huge amount of student loans and they're still like, "Oh, like I'm just going to order this, order that, like go out to eat. I'm just making the minimum payment. Like it's not a big deal. I care about my happiness now rather than later. Like I'll worry about that when I'm old basically or when I'm in a career field that is high paying because maybe they're waiting to get like that dream job. But I truly think that if you don't know how to manage small amounts of money, you're not really going to know how to manage larger amounts of money. So it's best to start now, to be honest.
Most people don't think like that. And I think we're lacking some financial education, whether it's in our families, in our culture, in our schools, because I did the opposite of what you did. I took out
More.
90 something student loans, thousands. Um, in student loans, and then I let it go. It was like until like 7 years later that I actually took responsibility for it because I kept saying the same thing. I
You
kept
did
saying,
take responsibility though. That's good.
yeah, but I kept saying like whenever I have a better job, I mean, I wasn't making that much money, so I could just defer it, and that was fine. But um, thinking back, I should have probably looked for a better job sooner. So,
Yeah, I
even-
mean, your vision in fact is like 2020 vision, so you know better now. And I feel like what you've been doing has been really cool. Like I was actually surprised that you had student loans. Um, that's how many do you have now? Like did it the balance
I'm
go down?
it's
Are you working on it?
143 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can do it. I believe in you.
I will, but at the same time, I'm trying to. I think that I've been in such a roller coaster with my student loans. It's either like super, super aggressive, like I can't even think, breathe without. It's like it's student loans everywhere, and now I'm in this journey, right? That I'm like, I'm gonna pay this off,
Mhm.
but it's not the end of the world. So
That's
it's
okay.
like, you know what? I'm taking accountability. I'm gonna do it, but it's gonna be on my own terms.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the root of the issue is always just like realizing that there's a problem. Like if you're working towards it, that's really what matters. And obviously personal finance is personal. Like you really shouldn't let anyone else, like influence what you're doing for yourself.
Mhm.
If it's the right decision for you.
Exactly. No, I completely agree. And I started with Dave Ramsey too. And I don't know how loyal you are to the baby steps now, but
I I am loyal just because when I had this brilliant idea during my debt-free journey, brilliant idea that I would get a 0% APR credit card that has like the 0% period for like like not maybe a year, maybe like 5 months or something. I got a credit card, started putting all of my recurring expenses like insurance, any bills that I could put on a credit card on there so that I could put the rest of my money towards my federal loans because I was going to pay them off super soon and it would save me like maybe like $300 in interest if I did that. What ended up happening was me spending more money on that credit card. I bought my mom like a designer bag. Like I just bought way too many things that I didn't have to buy. And so then I ended up with like this credit card debt that had no interest on it that I had to pay off. So that's when I was like, okay, maybe I should just stick to the Dave plan until I'm done with these debts and, have my emergency fund and I'm good. So for now, yes, I'm going with the baby steps. But I don't know if I'm gonna change my mind later on. People change.
yeah, no, I did the same. I started it with like no credit cards. I mean, I had them, but I wasn't gonna use them. And
Yeah.
then later on I changed, but I would feel so guilty if I bought my mom a designer purse. I would literally return it. So until I master that part, then we'll figure it out. So let's talk about YouTube as a business because that's kind of like my train of thought as well as I am treating YouTube. For me personally, it has been more because I am a real estate broker, so I've gotten clients through YouTube. But I want to see how you've been handling YouTube and what are your goals for that.
So right now I'm at like 320 something subscribers and I'm trying to get, the monetization thresholds which are, 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in like the last 12 months.
Mhm.
It's been a long road. As I said, I started my channel in June, which for some people could be like a very long time before you get monetized or just very little time. I feel like the timeline changes, but I do know that since I got a little bit more serious about it, and put more work into it, I feel like my channel has been growing, which is nice. But I think the idea of treating YouTube as a business rather than just a hobby just gives it the respect that it deserves because you're putting a lot of time in when like filming, doing these conversations with people, editing afterwards. And, before that, you do all the planning. So um, it's definitely a lot of your time that you're dedicating to YouTube for it to just be something that you're doing for fun. And of course, it can be fun. I love doing YouTube. I love making videos, but I also like seeing, my time invested, grow into something that I can be proud of. Um, so I'm taking all of the steps to kind of treat my channel as my business, in the sense that, I'm investing this time in this business. So I expect some sort of return, whether that's in building a community, um, gaining subscribers, gaining watch hours, or just inspiring other people to, go on their own financial journey, because that's really the most rewarding thing. And I've also, started this tax series on my channel where I'm going to start talking about how to deal with taxes as a YouTuber, because you are basically a sole proprietor of a small business once your channel is created. So, yeah, you just need to look into all of those little details and go move from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what made you want to start a YouTube channel?
I I had started like an Instagram page for like my fitness and like my financial fitness journey, like physical and financial fitness. And that was like the theme of my channel when I first started it. But with the Instagram page, I was like, I'm not really that into the aesthetics. Like I'm not good at like curating this Instagram page for people to like pictures and stuff like that. That's just not me. And um after a while, I was like, you know what? I feel like if I really want to connect with people, YouTube is probably the best way to do that. Because at that point, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, people in the finance category as well as the lifestyle category. So I was really drawn to that platform in general. But then I had the idea to start my channel, and I really wanted to reach people who are, you know, probably in my age group, who also have student loans or are trying to accomplish some sort of financial goal, because I really didn't see, that many people, aside from like the big finance YouTubers that were just thrown onto my homepage. And I was happy to find out that, after I started my channel, there are people like you, there's Gen Z Finance, a bunch of other small finance YouTubers trying to do something like this, who are, like-minded and are, in a similar age group. So I'm really happy that there are so many of us out there, going for it.
No, I totally agree. I remember when I started, one of the reasons why I did it was because one, I couldn't see anyone that was like a minority, whether
Yeah.
they were Hispanic, Asian, whatever, and had this amount of student loans, and they were actually saying something about it. Like everyone was like either paying it, like already had been paid off, or I don't know what they were doing, but it's like I'm not seeing people like me being represented.
Yeah, actually, for me, I do follow Asia Dang. She's a big like lifestyle YouTuber, but she also does finances, and she did her budget like while she had a huge amount of debt. I don't It might have been like $200,000 or so. But with her income and her dedication, she was able to pay it off in like 2 years. And I think I saw like the first video that she posted of her paying off her federal loans, and I was like, wow, she did that quickly. And that also kind of inspired me to do something like that for my channel, because I want to inspire someone else to do that. Um, and I agree with you. Like she may have been a minority, but I don't think that she was not a majority of the finance YouTubers. That's not what I see. And I think it's really important to have representation in this community. And I think that there's so much room to grow for other creators.
Hmm. I think so too. And all of our journeys are so different in a way that there's room for that. There's room for people to find out about you and have that following because you're so different.
Yeah, and I hope so. I mean, even though people come from different backgrounds, I mean, they can find a way to relate to someone in some way. And, I hope that they would be able to identify with someone speaking something similarly. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day for this. Is there anything else you would want to add?
um, I don't know. I hit the like button, comment down below. And I hope you have a great day. Enjoy your stay where you are,
Yeah.
stay warm.
Hmm.
And thank you so much for talking. Thank you for inviting me on this, series that you're doing. I think it's great that you're getting together with these people, even though, because of the current limitations, it might be hard to do it in person.
I know. I'm seeing it as I have future friends in future places that I can actually visit.
Oh, I love that.
Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna post down below all your videos as well. If you have any handles that you want me to add, I'll post them down below. And thank you so much. This was really fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not a game, it's a